Hello there, this is Noctis Season 3. I had made a video previously, this was way before Season 3 was announced, about Noctis. I wanted some changes for him to be made so he could be more viable in tournaments. And even though the changes that I proposed weren't really implemented, the basic idea was. The overall idea for this patch for Noctis is that, well, if you're fighting a low or intermediate level player, they won't be able to handle these two moves. So you could dictate the match by doing that. But at higher level, when people know how to handle those moves, that's not what happens. When you throw out Aura or down back 2 at high level, you kind of hope that they hit, even though Aura has more uses for that, besides that. But he got buffs to his other solid tools. We'll be looking at those. We'll go over the changes one by one. So let's start with 2-2-4-2. So 2 changes were made here. He got more damage, 9 to 13 on the second hit, so now it does 22 damage. And it has reduced pushback on hits, so you can continue your offense. Furthermore, on the third hit now, you know that this move is minus 14, so the risk didn't really match the reward, because before, even on counter hit, all you'd get was his back spin. What you get now is something far greater than that. You get a counter hit launch. And the startup on this move was changed from 26 to 25 frames, the last hit. So there's the gap where you can interrupt with some moves. Now that gap is tighter, so it's harder to interrupt. Moving on, 1+2 on counter hit is now a counter hit launch. This move is minus 14 on block, so I don't really recommend throwing it out, but a buff is a buff, so okay, I'll take it. Next is 4-4-2. It now does a knockdown. It used to give the backspin animation, but now it knocks down. It's still minus 11 on block, so probably now you can wall splat from farther away, which is good. Next is a nerf, down forward 1. In his startup animation, he used to crush, well, not crush, but evade some highs. If you're playing against Gigas, for example, this worked against a few specific characters. But if you're fighting against Gigas in Season 2, you can mash down forward 1 because his jabs go under Noctis when he does that. So that won't happen. But here's something good. Down forward 2 now does more damage. It went from 15 damage to 20. So now his block and whiff punishment hurts a lot more. Next up is this move. The last hit precisely. Down forward 4-2-2. The last hit doesn't reach. So see, it doesn't reach. I don't get nerfed, but alright, sure. It doesn't really matter. Next buff, it's down 2. So increased damage went from 12 to 15. So now this is a damaging low poke to complement this. This move used to be minus 18 on block, and not many people knew that. Now it's minus 15. There are a couple of reasons to justify that. First is that it's a sword, so you cannot low parry it. And second, it has a follow-up that if you push a button, you get launched. And at the wall you could get some cheeky key charge setups, because on counter hit, this wall splats gives a backspin animation and is a natural counter combo. Also, changes were made to the frames on hit. It went from minus 3 to 0 on hit, so that's good too. Next is Demo Man. Basically it's just more damage. So that's the just frame version, now it does more damage, but it also does something else. I need a wall stage to explain this. So it's kind of useful that Noctis has a female hitbox, or a hurtbox rather, because they have smaller hurtboxes than other characters. So if you did certain combos, so like this, the demo man at the end usually whiffed against some smaller hitbox characters. But in the patch notes it says, increase the lower range of the attack on the second hit. So the second hit is what used to whiff. Which means that now you can get this combo all the time, hopefully. So that's also another buff, a damage buff. Because now you can get the combo pretty much on everybody, I suppose. I think that's what they're going for. Next move is down back 1. So it has increased damage, it went from 7 to 10. This now hurts a lot more as a poke. And it's got more tracking. But it's still weak to one side. As you can see, I can still step it to his weak side. Next move is down back 2. They made a couple of changes here. So the damage was decreased, it went from 23 to 20. They increased the pushback on hits. So basically, now you can't do that or that from max range. They decreased the move's tracking, but it was already linear. There's no point in me demonstrating that. And they decreased the range too, so you could hit it from like around here. But now he holds the spear back a little bit more. So, but you can still hit it from an obscene range. You still get counter hit stuff, so that's good. Alright, now let's talk about Ora. So the move now is completely linear. You do have to time your sidewalk still, but it's mostly easy to sidestep now, or rather easier. As you can see, you still hit me a little bit while going to the left, but it's not as unbearable as it used to be. Do note that this nerf does not mean that the move is now useless. There are a lot of good moves, there are a lot of good uses for this move. For example, when you get a knockdown, this is what you use to get a guaranteed follow-up. Or when somebody does like a get-up kick, for example, if you hit something with like this, if somebody tries to retaliate, they get hit by that. See, even spring kicks lose to that. So, Ora is still a great move. It's just not stupid now. So, have fun with that. Next move is a buff to damage. Back to 1+2. If you know the timing for this, you just throw out the move and you press 1+2 regardless if it hits, if it blocks, or if it whiffs. Just so you can get the increased damage. But it's also a better alternative to whiff punish than like a sidestep down 4-2, because down 4-2 is risky, right? It's -20 on block. So if you're not very confident on a punish, you can sidestep into that and you get your big damage. That's a big chunk. So now we have the Sabaki parry, back 1+4. They changed the animation on hit. Now it only gives plus frames, but it's -9 on block. So it's completely safe. However, if you do parry a move, you get the follow-up with Ora. This means that now you can try to interrupt strings that have punches in them without basically any risk. But the opponent can bait you to whiff this move and sidestep around it. But having this move is pretty powerful for Noctis' defense, with this move being -9. It's a good buff. Now, there's a new move here. So you know up 4-3, right? But I bet you don't know up 4-3 up. Now he goes into his fly stance. So now you can get combos like so you can get stuff like that now. Up 4-4 this is surprising. I asked in my video to make this move like a counter hit launcher or something, but they did something close to that, but not really. So it went from -5 to -3 on block. So now you can move around more, and you can move around more considering the fact that it now has more pushback on block. So those are two good things. It used to give a normal knockdown, but now it does this. Now this, you have 3 timings for Aura. If you do it immediately, you get 37 damage. If you wait a bit, you get 40 damage, because it's grounded damage. But if they back roll, they get launched. So mess around with those 3 timings. Oh, by the way, if they stay on the ground, you get that. So this move here, 4-4, 3+4, is kind of a meme, because you don't throw it out in neutral. So this move, what you use it for is, like, you get a wall carry into a breakable wall, and then you do that and the wall breaks and you get auto damage. What they did here was they shortened the recovery time after the move hit by 4 frames, so I guess you have more time to follow up with something after the wall break. But that's really the only use the move has. Forward 1+2. This is a move that comes from a forward motion, so from a dash. For some reason they decided to increase its range. Now you saw there that it whiffed, but that's not really an issue. I just didn't do it properly. Like, you're supposed to use it like that. Because you can see that the daggers go through the opponent, right? But that's before the attack. That's after the attack comes out. And besides that, now it does more damage. It went from 17 damage to 20. And it's still a countered launcher, so you have a safe mid-homing countered launcher. And you go there and Kuruchi! Okay! Big damage. So overall, a great buff. Spam that move many times. This is basically his while running 1+2, but from jumping. They decreased the pushback on this move on block. So I guess they want you to stay closer to do mix-ups. That's alright. I didn't really find a use for it except at the wall. Because at the wall, while running 1+2, at the wall, while running 1+2 gives you this, right? But this gives you that. So it's a bit more damage. And you can also do other combos as well, like that, for example. Or going to mix-ups. While standing 2-2, this move used to do nothing on counter hit, basically. It gives that animation, you see. But it's -14 on block. Now it's a counter hit launcher. Right, so Noctis now has a new move, his new shield bash. And I think this move is pretty cheap at the wall. And just from full crouch in general. Let me show you why. So, if the opponent doesn't do anything, you get a free spear. But you can back roll out of it. Alright, now let me show you the cheap stuff about this move. You see there, it didn't say punish. This move is safe. This move is safe, and it creates pushback on block. It's safe, and it creates pushback on block. And it wall splats. I don't know how much, if it's like -9 or -6, but people cannot punish this with jabs. And also because of the pushback on block. Yoshimitsu players who usually want the flash stuff that's safe, well, they can't do it because it's got pushback. Overall, what do I think about the changes for Noctis? In Season 3, they're excellent changes that improve the fundamental aspects of his gameplay, and they avoid making him into a character that just launches torpedoes like this, because now those are nerfs. Now those only work against people who are like have no idea what, well, not no idea what they're doing, but who refuse to use sidestep or just aren't aware of that. The moves are still good, you know, down back 2 and Aura against those types of players. But now if you fight a high level player, now you can actually hurt using real tools, you know? So like, his pokes get more damage, down back 1 gets more tracking. This is now a usable low, does pretty good damage. Demo Man, more damage too. You want to run away, this has more range. This too here, up forward 4, better homing. And a safe way to like whiff punish too as well with this. And if you do find yourself using moves like these, at least you get a countered launch now. And I guess you get more combo variety with this as well. See? That's pretty cool. Very good season for Noctis. If you know how to play the game. If you're a Noctis player who just does Aura and down back 2 online, tough luck for you. I guess now it's time to learn the game properly. And Noctis has good tools for that actually, so go have fun.